Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. I am Commissioner and Vice Chair Rick Vest. To my left is Commissioner Matt Schulte, and to my right is Commissioner Krista Yoakum. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, please begin the meeting.
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located at the wall at the rear of the hearing room. All written materials to be discussed at today's open meeting are available for electronic viewing from the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed at the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1, minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on April 16th, 2024.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 2, claims. 2A, approval of the claims processed through April 23rd, 2024. And a note for commissioners, there is an amendment for the payroll.
I would move approval of the claims, including the payroll ending 4/17/2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to 2B, approval of the claims, including billings for goods and services beyond the 90-day time period provided in Nebraska Revised Statute 23-135. That is for Olson, dated April 22nd, 2024, for a total of $2,087.65.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 3, our consent items. These are routine business items that are expected to be adopted without dissent. Any individual item may be removed for special discussion and consideration by a commissioner or by any member of the public without prior notice. Unless there is an exception, these items will be approved as one single vote of the Board of Commissioners. These items are the approvals of A, amendments to the following county contracts. 1 for C-22-0864 with BI Incorporated for electronic monitoring. C-23-0464 with Felsberg Holt Ulvig for on-call general engineering services. C-23-0776 with Region 5 Behavioral Health to reflect an increase in service rates beginning February 1st, 2024. C-22-0225 with Fastenal Company to provide the annual supply of personal protective equipment and first aid supplies. C-20-0139 with Thomson Reuters, City of Lincoln, and Lancaster County for computerized legal research, Westlaw for the City Attorney, County Attorney, and Public Defender. C-21-0321 with Speedy Oil Change and Auto Services. And C-21-0306 with Walker Tire Quick Nicks for the annual service of preventative maintenance for autos and light trucks. C-14-0614 with the Executive Answering Service to provide telephone answering services. B, a right-of-way contract with Lynn E. and J. Steve Nordstrom Revocable Trust, Branched Oak Road and North 112th Street, the total amount of $2,090. C, a grant contract with the City of Lincoln for the Lincoln Police Department for funding for a consultant to develop the co-responder program in the amount of $45,000. D, utility permit 2532, allowing Windstream, Nebraska to replace fiber optic communication line located along Northwest 40th Street, north of West Rock Creek Road. And E, receive and place and file the mileage reimbursement reports.
I move approval of the consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Motion carries. This brings us to item 4, the public hearing. It's our public hearing for a vacation of certain portion of Branched Oak Road between North 27th Street and North 40th Street, more particularly described as Exhibit A and located in Lancaster County, Nebraska.
We will now open the public hearing.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Good morning, John Berry, Lancaster County Engineering. This is actually a vacation that was brought before you last year in September of 2023, and it's been requested again by Commissioner Vest that we talk about this. Just real briefly, it is a vacation of a section of Branched Oak Road, which is just south of the village of Davie. It is a dirt road. We would basically vacate the center section, a little over 2,700 feet, leaving both the east end and west end still accessible. The village has their lagoon system on the east end, so they would still be able to use that. Mr. Teigmeyer has some property and a house on the west end, and that driveway and road would still remain as it is. So I guess I can answer any questions if you have some.
Any questions, commissioners?
I assume that the property, I'm sorry, I haven't read the entire thing here, but the property owners on both sides appreciate this.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
in discussions, especially with Mr. Tegmeyer.
Right.
Thank you, John, for that very clear explanation of what we're doing. This was before us, as stated by John. Due to the discussion at that time, the board did not vacate due to some understandings that we later found out were not accurate. So the purpose of this vacation is that there are engineering concerns that have prevented us from getting gravel to Mr. Tegmeyer's driveway. It's been a long journey for him, and the goal here is to get a full surface road, not full surface, I won't know the right term, but a gravelled road to his driveway.
To the drive.
That meets Lancaster County standards.
Yes, and so with all those considerations considered, I did bring this back for this hearing because this is the solution that meets the interests of the engineering department and Mr. Tegmeyer. So that's why we're here today. John, I think you did a good job. Any questions before we let John step aside? Very good, thank you. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this matter?
I don't need to swear yet. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
Please state your name.
Dylan Tegmeyer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Dylan Tegmeyer, and for the past 2 years, my family and I have lived at 2850 Branched Oak Road. And when we purchased the 40 acres from Kevin Wolf, we were told by his real estate agent, Dan Sanderson, that once we build our house, that the county is required to gravel up to our driveway. Unfortunately, there's that was not accurate information, but I operated under this information and went ahead and built our house thinking that's what I needed to do. When it rains, we lose access to our house. In fact, during the build process, I attempted to drive the electrical inspector up to the house on a rainy morning in my four-wheel drive pickup, and we were not able to make it. We had to postpone the electrical inspection that day. Back then I had hoped that we'd just get through this and get our house built and we'd be all right, but that wasn't the case. So living there, we've been refused postal service to our drive, and when it rains, we have gotten stuck many times. The UPS driver has gotten stuck many times. If we can see the rain coming, we will park down at 27th Street and walk up through the mud to our house about 600 feet. In fact, some of my worst memories are carrying my 1-year-old daughter and my 3-year-old son in both arms while they're screaming and in pain as the rain pelts our face while I try to keep good footing to get us up to the house. EMS services or other emergency services cannot make it to our house when it's raining. In fact, while we were living there, during the wintertime, there was a rainy ice storm that knocked out the power at about midnight, and I called Norris Power District, and about 2 a.m. I saw a truck with headlights attempt up the road and then back out and continue on into the night, and later on, I called back and realized, or they told me that the tech arrived on site and was not able to make it to the power pole and was not able to get the power back up. So we sat by the fire until it dried out enough for them to come service our house. So for the past 2 years, I've been diligently trying to find the solution for this, trying to follow the correct procedures. And it seems that this is the solution, the one and only solution left. So I beg you to please vote in favor of vacating the section so that we can have gravel up to our driveway. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Tate, comments?
No, thank you for that testimony.
Yeah, thank you for being here this morning.
Mr. Vest or somebody else, this is just a public hearing. It's not actually on our action items today, right?
That's correct.
So this would come back to us then in a future meeting. Is that that's in the vote to actually happen?
It'll come next week.
Next week.
So
Okay.
next Tuesday, and I believe, I can't speak for 4 other commissioners, but just the conversations I've had, I believe our intention is to follow up with the vacation per the plan presented by John this morning and allow the engineering department to go forward with the graveling at the best speed they can accomplish there. So, John?
Sorry, I do have one more comment about this vacation or possible vacation. There are some utility lines here. There are some power lines, some major power lines. Some of the big metal power poles are on the north side of this road. So if you do choose to vacate this certain section, we want to make sure that the vacation does include some kind of language that says those easements will remain in place.
Okay.
We're not just vacating those two, so.
We'll leave that to the people who write those things, so yeah, thank you for that. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter at the public hearing? Seeing none, we will close this public hearing with the understanding it'll be back on the agenda next Tuesday, where the board will vote on it. Mr. Clerk?
Commissioners, that brings us to new business, item 5. 5A is proclaiming May 2024 as National Treatment Court Month. And I have a copy of the proclamation that I'd be willing to read into the record.
Yes, please.
Before the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Lancaster, Nebraska, in the matter of proclaiming May as the National Treatment Court Month in the County of Lancaster, Nebraska. Whereas communities nationwide are recognizing the importance of treatment courts throughout the month of May, whereas treatment courts represent a critical intervention for leading people with substance abuse and mental health disorders out of the criminal justice system and into lives of recovery, stability, and health, whereas there are now more than 4,000 treatment courts nationwide, including successful treatment courts in the County of Lancaster, Nebraska, whereas treatment courts are recognized by the cornerstone of the nationwide trend towards criminal justice reform, whereas treatment courts have transformed the way the criminal justice system responds to people with substance abuse and mental health disorders by combining accountability with evidence-based treatment, whereas treatment courts annually refer more than 150,000 people nationwide to life-saving treatment and recovery support services, whereas treatment courts significantly improve substance use disorder treatment outcomes, substantially reduce addiction and related crime, and do so at less expense than many other criminal justice strategies, whereas treatment courts improve education, employment, housing, and financial stability, reduce foster case placements, and promote family reunification, and whereas treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Lancaster, Nebraska, that May 2024 is hereby recognized as National Treatment Court Month in the County of Lancaster, Nebraska, and all persons, organizations, and governmental entities in our community are encouraged to support activities in promoting treatment courts. In witness thereof, we have hereunto signed on April 23, 2024, by the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Lancaster, Nebraska.
Very good. Would someone like to?
Good morning,
Speak
Commissioners.
on
Jeff
that.
Kilpatrick with Community Corrections. I'm happy to introduce and present to you members of our DUI court team, our Veterans Court team, and our Drug Court team. We're very fortunate to have these 3 teams here in Lancaster County. We also have some participants from these various treatment teams in the audience with us this morning.
Sure, go ahead.
Very good.
So I'm gonna let Judge Post say a couple of words, and I'm gonna.
All right. Well, we'll call that a surprise. Well, thank you to the team, thank you to all the teams, and thank you to the commissioners for the proclamation this morning. Since I have a surprise speech, that's all I have.
Well done, Judge.
Hi, Commissioners. Dean Rohr, I'm the coordinator for the court.
Yes.
As you can see, there's a lot of people involved in this process. This is not a community corrections aid program. This is a Lancaster County program, City of Lincoln program, State of Nebraska program. We have members from prosecutor's office, the defense attorney's office, public defender's office. Lincoln Police Department is not here today. Lancaster County Sheriff's Office is on our team. We have in-house therapists, in-house community supervision officers. This is just a model program of the 4,000 drug courts across the country. Our Veterans Court and Drug Court are one of the top 10 in the country. And so with the support of all of the entire board, support of the probation administration, our district court judges, we're able to continue the exceptional work that's been going on since 2001, I think the drug court started here. So we're just continue on the great efforts, and it's good recognition, but I think the real recognition is for our participants that are doing all the hard work.
So, well said.
Thank you.
Pat Condon, Lancaster County Attorney. Again, also just like to reiterate the thanks to the county board for all the support that you give us. I know Christy's at another meeting, but Paul's here from the Public Defender's Office. Great support for this organization and for the board supporting us. So, Paul, get up there and say something.
Yes, sir. Well, Commissioners, I think that this program that we have in Lancaster County, both the Drug Court, the Veterans Court, and the DUI Court are amazing. They're led by amazing people, but like Mr. Rohr said, it's the participants that really do all of the hard work and really get the benefit out of this. But I also think that it's important to recognize that these programs concurrently improve community safety, reduce the cost of taxpayers for people who are intersecting with the criminal justice system, and lift up lives, and they all do that simultaneously, and I think that's beautiful work.
Thank you, Paul. Would any of the participants like to, and this isn't designed to create stress or pressure, but we'd be glad to hear your perspective. If any of the participants, I'm seeing head shaking no, and I understand. We appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you.
My name is Carmen Blazek. I'm on phase 3 of drug court, and I'm on probation as well. I've been in prison, and I've been afforded this opportunity to be on drug court, and it's been amazing, and it's shown me a new way to live, and I'm grateful. I was in prison when my grandfather passed away, and I was in jail when my father passed away, and my mom just had a stroke. And without this amazing opportunity, I wouldn't be standing here today, and I would not be able to take care of my mom. I have my 2 kids, but my mom is all I have left. And I've learned a new way to live without getting in trouble. And I'm a much better person because of it. And I made so many new friends. And it's just amazing to know that, you know, I can live without making bad choices, bad decisions. And just knowing that there's better things in life than making wrong choices. So I appreciate all these people and the fact that, you know, that there is good and there's good in me.
There's good in you. Amen. Yes.
So,
thank you so much for being here today and for doing the hard work you're doing. Thank you.
It's worth it. It really is.
Amen.
Thank you.
I think we have another. Yeah, come on forward, ma'am.
I'm Jessica Munns. I started in the program at first in treatment diversion. I had a rocky start, and then these lovely people, they gave me another shot and let me go to drug court. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. I'm actually about to have my 3rd born child, so I'm 6 weeks away. They've been very supportive. I fought them thick and thin throughout this program. I fought them. But they showed me that they're only here to help. And I don't know where I would be if they weren't here to help.
Wow.
And I appreciate them a lot.
That's very powerful. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
third child. All the best. The work you're doing will pay so many benefits to your
Yep.
children. So thank you for sharing
Thank you.
this morning. Anyone else? This moment deserves all the respect we can give it. So commissioners, any thoughts or comments you'd like to share?
You know, I've attended many of the graduations, even when they were on Zoom, and it's always, you know, the stories that you shared and the transformation in your lives this morning, we hear that from the participants, and it's so genuine, and it's so clear the pride that they have after doing that hard work. The transformation that you've helped people make in their lives is just tremendous. But I wanted to share this story. We hear from the participants, and what we don't hear oftentimes is from the family. And I actually ran into a woman whose son had gone through DUI court, I believe it was, and she talked about the relationships in the family that had been torn apart by the behaviors that he had and the challenges that he was facing, and where it had gotten to the point where she felt she couldn't help him. But she was so appreciative that he had the opportunity to go through this, and now their relationships have been repaired, and he's working, and the whole family has pride and are very invested in that. And thank you for the work that you do to get people to that point.
I just appreciate you guys investing in our community and helping make a positive impact like this. So keep it up.
No, kudos to all of you. The board feels very fortunate to play our part in this, but looking at the group that's here this morning, you can see that these things don't happen without a lot of investment by a big group of people. And thank you to all of you who've made this successful. It truly is a great benefit. I would just echo Paul's comments about helping people be restored and being productive, and it's good for them. It's good for us.
It's good for our communities.
The first one I went to was a veterans court, and Roma and Sean are going to be sad that they don't get to be here to sign this proclamation, but I went to veterans court. The young man was facing 20 years of sentencing if he didn't complete it, and at the graduation, it was revealed that he was gainfully employed in an occupation that was a good fit for him. He was engaged to be married, and he'd purchased a house. 20 years in jail, engaged, purchasing a house, employed. That's the work that gets done by you all in these courts. So thank you all for your work, and thank you for those courageous folks who do the hard work of participating. I think we owe them a round of applause. Thank you. I would, unless there's something else, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to proclaim May 2024 as National Treatment Court Month and honor those who are doing all this hard work. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion passes.
May is proclaimed as National Treatment Month. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Commissioners, that brings us to item 5B. These are agreements with the following for care and maintenance of abandoned and neglected cemeteries. The cost of the county is $75 per mowing, not to exceed $300 per year. There's a series I'll read. Troy Henning for Highland Cemetery, Dave Miller for Jordan Cemetery, Clark Leibson for Dietz Cemetery, Troy Henning for Uphoff Cemetery, David Almery for Ashland Cemetery, and Terry Briley for Evangelical Cemetery.
Well, good morning, Brett Meyer, Lancaster County Weed Department. Well, I'm going to take just a few minutes and give you a little presentation on cemeteries, if that's all right. Because I think what these people do for us is pretty amazing as well. We do pay them $75 a mowing for a maximum of $300 a year. I call them volunteers because that isn't enough for what they do. in presentation mode, but you're not, so we'll go with that. So Lancaster County Abandoned Cemeteries is something that I had no idea was going to be part of my job when I took the job back 13 years ago, but it's been a very rewarding thing for me. I've learned a lot about abandoned cemeteries. I've actually learned to enjoy going out to those. I think the history that they tell is pretty amazing for Lancaster County. So the pictures that were up there was some of the work that the Boy Scouts were doing at Dietz Cemetery. Back when I first started, I thought, well, if I'm going to be in charge of these things, I'm going to go around and see what they look like. It did not look very good, and I was presented to the county board at that time, and Brad Johnson was in the room, who's our corrections person, and he had some boys that were in Boy Scout down in that area, so it kind of worked its way around, and the Boy Scout troop started taking care of Dietz Cemetery, and those pictures were from when they were cleaning up that cemetery. But so state statute actually requires counties to take care of abandoned cemeteries, and we went through this with Asplin Cemetery just a couple years ago. And there's just some things there, they have to have either homesteaders or Civil War veterans or been deeded as a cemetery prior to 1900. So there's a lot of things, and then they need to be abandoned for a certain period of time. The one thing that I really appreciate the work that these folks do is because by law, all we have to do is mow that cemetery once a year, 2 weeks prior to Memorial Day. We also do weed abatement for the city of Lincoln. I know what happens to that property if we don't continue to mow it. If you've ever volunteered to mow a cemetery, there's a lot of trim work around the headstones. So this is not easy work for these folks. They do it because most of them are neighbors to the properties. And as we go through these, we actually have one person that takes care of two of them. So you mentioned the cemeteries that we have. We'll just get into them. So Asplin, we just took over a couple years ago, and this is up in the northeast part of the county. That sign that you see in the bottom left-hand corner there, all the cemeteries got new signage at them about a year and a half ago. We've got the new county logo on them, and those were just replacements. Most of them had those signs, but the center logo had you couldn't read it anymore. It would disintegrated. But they each have a little bit of history at them, so that's part of the statute too, is we have to sign those with historical markers. So like I said, the neighbor to the north of this, Dave Almery, takes care of that. And it was originally known as the Free Church Cemetery, and the first burial was in 1874, and the last one in 1961. This is what Dietz Cemetery, so the top left picture is what it looked like the first time I went out there. And I was like, wow, if I'm going to be in charge of these things, we're going to have to do something different. I can tell you it's going to cost us a lot more to have a contractor mow that once a year than what we pay these volunteers to do it. The bottom right picture was what it looked like after the Boy Scouts went in and cleaned it up. So pretty amazing turnaround. It continues to look great. They've got a little sign-in sheet. A lot of people visit those cemeteries out there too. So one Boy Scout actually got his Eagles badge at that cemetery by straightening headstones and setting some fence out there. So they were able to use it for a project there as well. Evangelical sits over here off Pioneers. Terry Briley's mowed that ever since before I started here. I appreciate what he does. I met with him last year, and he's getting older. He's actually got to go get the grandkids now to help him, but it just sits right adjacent to his house. If you look at the top picture and the bottom picture, you'll notice a new gate that he put on there himself. He manufactured the gate and built that, and it's a really nice access point now for people to visit that cemetery. And you know, again, just the pride that he has in that cemetery is pretty cool. Highland Precinct, I know on here it says Highland, and I found out several years ago we have a Highland Cemetery and a Highland Precinct Cemetery. So I want to be clear that we take care of Highland Precinct because they wanted to know why we were taking care of Highland, which we don't. So this is Highland Precinct, and there's a couple of these down in the south part of the county, about a mile apart. This is our smallest cemetery. There's 5 marked gravestones in there and 8 known burials. And a lot of this information folks can find on findagrave.com. Pretty neat. A lot of people have done the history on these cemeteries. So you can look back at relatives and all that kind of stuff. But Jordan Cemetery is our largest property cemetery. Sits up just north of Waverly up there. There is a Civil War veteran that's buried right in there. If you go right underneath that sign, the tombstone's not too far inside that deal. It's always decorated with flags, so somebody takes care of that as well. And the neighbor to the south of that, Dave Miller's the person that takes care of that. And we used to have somebody else, and I just like, oh no, we're going to move away. And I was like, just go start meeting with neighbors. And he's like, oh heck yeah, if you'll let me clean out these trees down here, because there was a lot of it that wasn't even being taken care of, and he just took his skid loader in and cleaned it all up. And I'll talk about Lincoln Tree Service that does volunteer workforce too, but they've done a lot of work at this cemetery. One of the first years I was here, we had to pay to take a tree down in there, and it was pretty expensive because they got to take them down piece by piece. They don't want them to fall over and knock a bunch of tombstones over. So for them to step up and take care of the trees on our cemeteries, I'll talk about that in a minute. Uphoff sits just a mile away from Highland, I guess it was, Highland Precinct. And again, the person that's taking care of this worked with the neighbor and took a bunch of the rag trees out that had grown up in the old fence line, and just, they go above and beyond what they do on just the mowing, I'll tell you that. So, and Troy Henning does that, so Troy takes care of 2 cemeteries for us, so he volunteers at a couple of them. The county poor farm, this is one, just sits up here off Alvo Road. There's no markers at it. It's basically a prairie. Larry England came in one day and wanted to know if he could volunteer to mow that at no charge to us. Now, we do have contracts with those folks as well, because they do need to provide their insurance and stuff for us to be on our properties. But he goes in there and just mows that up a couple times a year with his tractor and makes it look a lot nicer. This, we spray this in the fall for thistle and general weed control when it needs it, but the city's encroaching on this cemetery, so I think we need to kind of be looking at, as a developer comes in, are we going to require them to fence around it? I mean, there's an old ratty barbed wire fence there now, but the city's going to grow around it, and I don't know how that works when the city, where we end up inside the city. So I'll just watch that. It's encroached right up to the east side of that property now. So I don't know. I'll be open to discussion on that as it gets closer. You know, maybe we can make a developer put a nice fence around there or something that would keep people from driving through there. There is road access to it, so people could just drive right through there. This is the one several years ago I came to you on, and a person wanted to plant a tree in the center of it, and she did that. The tree got taken over by the deer, and she's never replanted. But people go to these properties, and so it's pretty neat. So I want to recognize Lincoln Tree Service as well. If you can see in the top left photo, there's a guy hanging by a strap up in the tree. So it's not easy when they go in there to maintain the trees, but that's something that they just, I've given them the free rein to go into there when they have time with their crews, or if they're in that area, and just assess the tree situations. The Poor Farm has some pretty big trees on it and a few other ones. When we took over Asplin, I had them go up there and ask them to go up there and just evaluate the tree situation there. And there was one tree that had kind of grown around one of the headstones, and they were able to take that tree out, and they had to leave part of it around that headstone, but they were able to go in there and take care of those for us. So, and that's all I have for you. I just wanted to share that information, and I've got copies of these. I would ask the board, we discussed this several months ago, to go from $200 to $300, and I would ask for your approval for that.
Yeah, I definitely would move approval of going to the 300.
Second.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and just it's a powerful reminder. As a county commissioner, you get everything from abandoned cemeteries to drug courts to weed control to a variety of topics. But what seems interesting to me is the amount of care folks provide willingly just to maintain a cemetery for whatever the reasons that motivates them. And we have so many people contributing to the betterment of our community. This is one more group here. Yeah, thank them on our behalf, and I think the $100 will probably not change their life.
Oh,
But
no, and I agree. And there's one individual that was mowing the two cemeteries that was never taking a dime for it. And I kind of encouraged him. I says, you're spending money over here, and fuel and lawnmower repairs and stuff, and we're more than happy to give you a few $100 a year to take care of those. So I know what contractors cost me to send out to properties, and we're getting a pretty good deal. And I know it's civic pride that they do this, and I appreciate it. And one of these days, if we could get them all together again, I would like to bring them in here and have them
That would be great.
recognized.
we would enjoy that.
Sorry if I seemed distracted, but I was looking for an email that was actually from someone about some of these cemeteries.
Yep.
That has a lot of concern and a lot of pride in them, and I was looking for that.
Thank you.
I'm going to share some of that information with you later.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Motion carries. Commissioners, that brings us to item 5C, an agreement with the Bridge Behavioral Health to provide alcohol treatment services to participants in the county's 24/7 sobriety program. The cost of the county is $20,400.
Move approval.
Second.
Now, I don't see anyone from the bridge here this morning, but this is a big step, and it's good to welcome the bridge back into the care of these folks. So please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5D is an agreement for professional services with Morrow and Associates to coordinate all testing procedures, including the development and administration of the exams and inquiring panels for each assessment exercise for the promotional exam procedures for the rank of sergeant. The cost of the county is $11,500.
Hi, Sarah Sump, Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. Just coming to hope you guys approve this. It will help us with our sergeant promotions. As you know, we have a vacant captain that we would be looking to fill, so we need to get this going. It's a bit more of a lengthier process than our captain's promotions. So here to answer any questions if you have any.
No, we appreciate this. It's a big step to go start up the rank.
It is, yes.
Take on that additional responsibility. So.
Yes, yeah. And this really gives us a nice, fair, impartial, there's not any of the old boys club that sometimes people rumor about. So this keeps it nice and fair for everyone. They feel like they have a good chance to make that promotional rank.
Seems like this is a good process. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5E is a radio advertising agreement on behalf of Lancaster County Sheriff's Office with Alpha Media for the NDOT Highway Safety May 2024 campaign.
Okay, perfect. So the next two are both radio campaigns that the Department of Transportation has asked us to partner with them to do. So it'll actually be no cost to the county. They will get reimbursement from us. So it's for the whole month of May to make sure that people Make It Click is the new terminology now. We've all been used to Click It or Ticket, but now Make It Click is the new campaign that'll happen throughout the month of May. So this will be the advertising portion. And then last week you signed the agreement for the actual overtime to have the high visibility traffic enforcements out with our officers.
It was kind of nice. We had that last week right in front of about 50 teenagers here. So it's kind of a good reminder.
Yeah, make
to
sure
all
you
of
click
us,
that.
but,
Yes.
Anyway, thank you.
I'm struggling with the new name, but I move approval.
I know. I had to double check it. I was like, really?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5F is the radio advertising agreement on behalf of Lancaster County Sheriff's Office with Broadcast House Media for the NDOT Highway Safety May 2024 campaign.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest, Schulte.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah.
5G is a series of interlocal agreements with the following counties for the housing of juvenile offenders at the Youth Services Center at a rate of $334 per day. They are with York, Greeley, Kearney, and Cheyenne counties.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yeah, these are just the agreements so that we can get the agreements amended to to reflect the rate that you had approved some time ago, so.
Seems like we've
It's
had
a work in
lot.
progress.
Yeah, seems like we've had a lot, Brad. Have you got it?
I think if everybody responds, it's at least 35. So it's a good.
35 counties you're talking about?
Yeah.
Have you seen this affect placements at all?
No.
Okay. I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Brings us to 5H, a contract with All Makes Office Equipment Company to provide furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the Civil Protective Custody Center. The cost of the county is not to exceed $42,637.32.
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen Peterson, Director of Facilities of Property. This is just another step in moving towards the completion of the Civil Protective Custody project. It is the furniture package. And just as a quick reminder, this cost is going to be paid out of ARPA funding that's been set aside quite some time ago for this project.
Very good.
Any questions?
Any questions for Karen?
Can you remind me on this? Are we having to do much renovation of the building? Any work on the inside? Because we're already to the place of buying equipment, so.
Well, the furniture actually there's been a significant amount of construction done already. This is just, the furniture bids are all about timing. You want it to get in and get here at a time, kind of at that sweet spot where it's between substantial completion and final completion, so that the general contractor has responsibilities for helping see that gets hooked up properly with the electrical. So you'll see another requisition coming in fairly soon too, because apparently the furniture people don't want to buy washers, dryers, and a TV screen, so I'm back. There's money set aside for that.
One-stop
as
shopping
well.
would have been nice.
I always like that, but not in this case. It's fine.
I move approval.
I'll second.
We're very fortunate to have someone so smart that they can figure out the timing of all these different entities and get it.
It's not perfect.
It's not an exact science. Thank you, Karen. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Motion carries. Commissioners, that brings us to item 6, our legislative update.
The only thing I have is that as we all know, last Thursday was the last day. A number of items moved or didn't move, and we will have Joe and Brennan and Sarah here on Thursday to kind of give us an overview of that. I don't know if there's anything else. Seeing none, let's move forward.
Item 7 is public comment. Those wishing to speak in items relating to county business, not in the agenda, may do so at this time.
So if you want to wait,
You can go ahead.
Okay, would you like to go first?
Thank you. Yeah, I figured. My name is Maimun Qureshi, and I live in 8040 Abigail Drive. I've spoken here numerous times at the Lincoln City Council and the Board of Education on numerous issues. One of the biggest, pedestrian safety. I'm a pedestrian and transit user. I know today there wasn't a lot related to that, but last meeting, the LTU director came and talked about the multimodal facility out there, actually to the south. I believe they're going to make that. They're going to take 275 stalls. I know Sean Flowerday isn't here today, but one of his concerns was the parking removal as well. I know there's not a lot of pedestrian projects the county's involved with the city, especially areas that I might go to, like Gateway and stuff. But this multimodal facility is needed, I'll say that. And I think one of the issues is, even if it wasn't intended, the choice of words that we use to address these issues needs to be thought out. I know that wasn't the intention, but prioritizing parking is one of the biggest issues as well with the stalls being removed. It's taken away from the big issue. There's no bus depot in Lincoln. To numerous documents, about 23% of downtown Lincoln is parking. Pure parking, surface parking. Parking garages, all types of it, street parking. If the biggest issue is that we can't acknowledge that we need to build other methods of transportation as well, not only in the city, but countywide as well, one of the first steps to take is allowing these projects to be prioritized, to be understood. And that's what the multimodal facility is going to do. It's going to bring bus depots together. I mean, most bus stops don't even have a concrete pad, even in the city as well. And if there can't even be a bus depot and there's frustration behind it because parking is going to be lost, imagine out of 250 people, 50 could take the bus now, or even more if more service increases. You have to bring these amenities all across the city and county as well and allow people to intertwine different methods of transportation, especially as the county as a whole is growing. Communities like Waverly are growing and Hickman. When we first came here, Hickman didn't have all these new single family neighborhoods and these new sidewalks. And when we went there, it's developed now. There's like hundreds of new houses, roundabouts now. I know it's not a big invention, but you can definitely see how it's becoming bigger with traffic when you add new intersections and whatnot. So it's definitely growing, and sooner or later you're going to need to connect these communities together. And personally, as somebody who uses these trails and buses, I like to use a trail and it goes into the county. It goes towards Dalton, Nebraska. And being able to just have at least one person like myself come up here and talk, I just hope that the county as a whole is going to be able to say, even if it's the smallest project in terms of a sidewalk or allocating space for a multimodal center, I think it would be good if you guys just looked at it from a perspective of somebody who's frequently uses transit. Because I know as the LTU director, she specifically specifies in transportation, and it's not the average citizen you see who rides the bus. And as I said again, I really do hope that in the future, any new projects, the county will look at all methods of transportation, connecting trails together, because I know that's going to be a future for Lincoln Parks and Recreation as well. I know they're going to expand it to numerous prairies, and I don't know if the county is going to be involved with that. But if they do, just make sure you look at each side. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Could I ask that? I know you already sat through a long meeting waiting for your time to speak here, but I was wondering if you would have a minute that we could talk after the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and please sign in. Thank you for sharing that, so we have your name.
Very good. Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
Robert Bohr, watchful citizen. I don't think we're paying attention, and I don't think Sheriff Wagner is paying attention. This is an election year. What happened 83 years ago this month, right after Abraham Lincoln was elected? The country descended into a bloody civil war. And why? Because Democrats did not like where the country was headed. They saw Lincoln as an existential threat to their cherished institution of slavery. Their secession documents spelled out in no uncertain terms the reason why. The reason for secession was their antagonism to the founding principle that all men are created equal. That principle had taken root in the North and started flourishing. It made Democrats nervous. War was inevitable because Southern slave states were hypocritical about states' rights. They wanted the right to declare another man a slave. But then when that slave ran away to a free state in the North, they wanted to deny those states the right to decide for themselves if a man with different colored skin was endowed with equal rights, or just a piece of property that they had to return to its owner. Shortly after Lincoln was elected and inaugurated a second time, which was 159 years and 1 month ago this month, he was assassinated. Fast forward to 2020. 4 short years ago, swamp Democrats and Republicans didn't like the direction the country was headed in and attempted to launch us into another full-blown civil war using a fake pandemic, medical tyranny, widespread riots and vandalism, curfews, and restrictions on commerce. The reason was the same: to protect the swamp's cherished institution of slavery. Only this time the slavery took a much more subtle form. The form it took was rigged elections that facilitate all manner of evil, tyrannical control. By this time, they had to go to such great lengths to cheat. But this time, they had to go to such great lengths to cheat that they outed themselves. And instead of allowing a full-blown civil war, Trump walked away to fight another day. They weren't going to get the privilege of putting a nail in his coffin like they did President Lincoln's. So, the color revolution rages on, and the big question is, who's going to win? Will it be the swamp with their intent on destroying liberty and justice for all but the elite, or will it be the modern sons of liberty? I'm betting on the latter. Trump knew the bulk of Americans needed time to wake up and to figure out what was happening to their country. He knew it was we the people who ultimately had to stand up and fight if our country was to survive. And so here we are 4 years later in another election year. Americans are more awake and paying more attention than they have in over 120 years. And Trump is more popular than ever, which is why the swamp is trying to take him out any way they can. He's so popular now, they won't be able to cheat enough this time to make it look anywhere close to a credible win. The swamp doesn't like the direction the nation is headed in again. They still want to start another civil war. And they have more sinister ways of instigating one. They desperately want to get rid of Trump. They know a Trump win means a day of reckoning, and that terrifies them. Things are going to get messy this year. Millions of military-age illegals have been allowed in and are coming for us. You better get prepared. Wagner better get prepared. We the people are not going to obey another curfew order from our communist mayor while she allows our city to be destroyed. We have a God-given right to defend ourselves, our property, our neighborhoods, and our community, and we are going to do so. Ebnon and Benna and their fellow swamp creatures will be forced at some point to give up their rigged elections that destroy government of, by, and for the people. But they won't do it. They won't be able to do it without a fight. I suggest we all wake up and get ready. May God have mercy.
Anyone else wishing to make public comment this morning? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
Item 8, announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will attend the LES Energy Summit on Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at the Kevin Wales Operations Center. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, April 30th, 2024 at 9 a.m. at a departmental budget hearing immediately following in room 112 of the County City Building. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live in LNK-TV. LNK-TV is available on Allo Channel 2 and Spectrum Channel 1300. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. LNK-TV apps are available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Last item I have is adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Best?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.